Before we dive into our discussion about AI tools and analytics, I want to start with a simple question. As pesticide program leaders, what's the core responsibility of your job? It isn't just to test and license applicators. It's to educate. That means equipping applicators with the knowledge, skills, and resources they need to do their jobs safely and responsibly. While testing is essential, it should only come after you've delivered high-quality training and support. And that's exactly where education-focused tools and analytics can help you strengthen your programs, improve outcomes, and ensure that licensing is based on real, meaningful learning. Let's start with a simple question. Why should we use assessment analytics in our licensing and certification programs? The answer is straightforward, because better data leads to better decisions. First, assessment analytics help improve test item quality and validity. We can identify which questions are doing their job, measuring what they're supposed to, and which ones may be too easy, too hard, or misleading. Second, they provide objective data to guide revisions. Instead of relying on guesswork or anecdotal feedback, we can make informed changes based on how questions actually perform across a group of test takers. And third, they help reduce measurement error. When we apply these analytics consistently, we build more reliable exams, which is especially critical in high-stakes licensing environments like pesticide certification. So, in essence, assessment analytics aren't just about statistics. They're about fairness, clarity, and improving the integrity of the entire training and certification process. Now that we understand why assessment analytics matter, let's look at what we actually measure. These are the core performance metrics we use to understand how well an exam or a set of questions is functioning. We start with the basics. High and low scores tell us the range of performance, how our best and lowest performers did. The mean gives us the average score, while the median helps us see if the scores are evenly distributed or skewed in one direction. This gives us a snapshot of overall difficulty and fairness. Next is standard deviation, which shows how spread out the scores are. A small standard deviation means most students scored similarly. A large one means there was a wide range. This helps us identify whether the exam is appropriately targeted to the audience. And finally, Cronbach's alpha. This is a measure of internal consistency. Or put simply, how well the test questions work together. A high Cronbach's alpha means the questions are all measuring the same skill or knowledge area, which is critical for a reliable exam. If it's low, it's a signal that the test may be too scattered, or that some questions aren't pulling their weight. Combined, these metrics help us move beyond just right or wrong answers and into a deeper understanding of test performance, giving us tools to improve training, reduce confusion, and ultimately make licensing more fair and accurate. We expect that most or all of you have experience with importance of high, low, mean, and median scores and standard deviation in exams, but let's take a closer look at Cronbach's alpha, a lesser-known variable in exam performance, and why it matters. The big question it helps us answer is this: do the questions on this test all measure the same thing? In other words, are the questions working together like a team, or are they pulling in different directions? Imagine you test as a choir. If one or two voices are off-key, or worse, singing a different song, the whole performance suffers. That's what a low Cronbach's alpha indicates. Some questions may be confusing, unrelated, or poorly written. A high Cronbach's alpha, on the other hand, means your test is singing in tune and all the questions are contributing to measuring the same core knowledge or skill. Now that we've looked at the big picture performance of the test, it's time to zoom in on the individual exam items. There are three key metrics you need to use to evaluate each item. They are the item difficulty, the distractor function, and item discrimination, or PBS. These metrics help us understand not just how examinees performed, but how well each question is working. We'll use DigitalDesk's exam analysis report to show you a real-world example of how these metrics are used in practice. First, we will look at item difficulty, or p-value. This simply tells us the percentage of examinees who answered correctly. A high p-value means it was an easy question. A low p-value means it was more difficult. In this example, you'll see that for item 1, option C was the correct response and was selected by 83.6% of examinees and was therefore a relatively easy question. Under the item, you will see two values: the total number of examinees who selected this response designated as TTL, which was 46 in this case, and the R value, which is the mean score of examinees selecting this response, 78%, and the standard deviation, 0.13. Ideally, we want a range of difficulties across the whole test, but not too many that are so hard or so easy that they don't tell us much about how prepared your examinees are. Next, we look at the distractor function. That's how well the incorrect answer choices are performing. If everyone is avoiding one distractor, it might be too obvious and therefore not doing its job. But if your distractors are attracting the lower performing examinees more than the higher performing ones, that's exactly what we want. It means they're plausible, but not confusing. And finally, we have item discrimination, often measured by the point by serial correlation or PBS. This tells us how well a question distinguishes between high and low performers. PBS scores range from -1 to 1 with a minimum desired score of 0.15. This item's score of 0.48 is color-coded green to indicate that the question is properly discriminating between high and low performers. Together, these three metrics help us ensure that your item banks are only full of questions that are valid, fair, and an accurate measure of preparedness. Another key part of building a fair and effective test is making sure the questions are written in a way that is likely to be understandable to the people taking them. As you know, examinees come from a wide variety of backgrounds, so we need to make sure our exams account for diverse educational attainments, language proficiency, and reading abilities, so that questions fairly reflect the examinee's knowledge of the relevant pesticide training materials. This is another area where AI can help. Let's look at how we've incorporated AI into our platform by looking at our item readability analysis report tool. Our tool uses the Flesch-Kincaid scale, a widely accepted readability formula, to evaluate the grade level of each test question. It looks at things like sentence length, word choice, and structure to determine how complex and accessible a question is. Notice how this item is flagged for potentially being confusing to people with lower reading comprehension. Second, our tool provides item analysis that flags confusing language like jargon, long compound sentences, or uncommon words that might create barriers for test takers. Even if a question is technically correct, it can still be unclear or misleading if it's poorly written. And third, the tool doesn't just point out the problem. It actually suggests simpler, clearer versions of the question that match the target reading level. Usually that means around a 5th grade reading level. That means we can align the test not only with the content being taught, but also with the reading ability of the intended audience. The result? A fairer exam that truly reflects an examinee's knowledge of the core material. Now that we've seen how AI tools can help us improve our assessments, let's take a look at one of the most exciting uses of AI in training today: interactive video content creation. Using AI tools can help you quickly create interactive content from pre-existing training videos that increase information retention by keeping users more engaged with the content, which then results in fewer drop-offs, creating a more effective training experience. We'll use our interactive video creation tool to look at exactly how AI can help you improve your training videos by creating chapterized videos with auto-generated in-video quizzes and both automated and manual video editing. Let's take a closer look at our platform. First, you can upload any video training content you choose, and the AI engine behind our platform will automatically analyze it for content, then break it into logical, clickable chapters and insert well-timed quizzes and in-video prompts. This process saves program managers and PSEPs time and ensures that learners are more engaged with the material by presenting them with short, digestible segments. And finally, we'll turn our attention to how AI can empower data-driven decision-making through its ability to correlate multiple data points and quickly provide useful reports written in plain English that tell you how your trainees are engaging with their learning materials, what the most effective learning materials are, and how you can strategically implement the most effective materials in your pesticide training program. Using our platform's AI-powered engagement analysis report, we'll look at examples of how we use metrics like practice exam usage rates, time spent on webinars and study guides, and overall engagement metrics to help you understand both broad and granular performance data. This report is an example of a report we provide to pesticide companies who want to track employee performance metrics in order to understand how many attempts they take to pass an exam on average. First, you'll see an overview of the data written out clearly in simple terms, explaining how engagement levels correlate to performance. Next, you'll see a breakdown of the relevant data, including the average number of exam attempts by those who used or did not use practice exams, the average number of exam attempts by total training participation, including study guides, webinars, and events. And finally, a breakdown of the participation rate of each training type and the average exam cost per employee by engagement level. This report illustrates how AI can be incorporated to help gain actionable insights into how well your training program in preparing exam candidates. Let's close by highlighting the real-world impact these tools can have on training programs like the ones many of you manage. First, AI-powered tools like our readability and item analysis reports help you create clearer and fairer test questions that improve the quality of your exams and help ensure that success is based only on knowledge of the material. Second, using AI to quickly generate interactive content from existing training material can help lead to higher engagement and greater knowledge retention. When the user is actively involved in their training through smart videos, quizzes, and clear instruction, data shows us that they're more likely to remain focused, complete training, and retain critical information. Third, data-driven improvements are simple to make when utilizing analytical tools that provide actionable insights into your program's performance outcomes. This allows you to make better decisions, targeted revisions, and steadily improve the quality and effectiveness of your program over time. So whether you're working at the state level, with a university, or delivering training in the field, these innovations can help you ensure that your program is modern, reliable, and impactful. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions about the information presented in this session, or would like to learn more about how at DigitalDesk we're working to create innovative solutions for licensing and certification programs, you can reach out to us by phone at 210-961-4970 or send us an email at sales@digitaldeskinc.com.